Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly believed in yourself? I don't mean confidence in your skills. I don't mean arrogance or bravado. I mean real belief, the kind that says, even if I fall flat on my face, I still have value, I still matter. We're taught to look outside for validation, grades, promotions, likes, applause. But here's the truth. Those things are just signals. They are not your identity. They're not your why. Your worth isn't measured in numbers. It's measured in your ability to show up again and again, even when no one's clapping, especially then. The greatest change makers, the boldest leaders, the people who truly shape the world, they all have one thing in common. They believed in themselves long before anyone else did. Not because they were sure they'd succeed, but because they knew they had to try. See, belief isn't about knowing you'll win. It's about knowing you'll grow. It's the quiet voice that says, I can do hard things, even when your knees are shaking, even when the road ahead makes no sense. You don't need to be the best. You need to be yours. You need to own your story, not the perfect one, not the filtered one, the real one, the messy, honest, imperfect one. And when you do that, something amazing happens. People around you start to believe too, not just in you, but in themselves. That's the power of belief. It spreads, it's contagious, and it starts with you. So today, if no one else says it, let me be the one to remind you. You are enough. You are capable. And you, yes, you, are worth believing in. Belief is one of the most powerful forces within us, yet we often misunderstand where it comes from. We tend to associate belief in ourselves with the validation we get from the outside world. Grades, job titles, applause, social media likes, or even the approval of people we admire. These external signals can feel rewarding in the moment, but they're not the source of real lasting belief. They are echoes. They respond to something deeper. True belief, the kind that carries you through uncertainty, failure, and self-doubt, starts from within. When we chase external validation, we're placing our sense of worth in someone else's hands. It becomes conditional. We begin to believe in ourselves only when we're being praised or winning. The moment the applause stops, so does our confidence. But that's not real belief. That's dependency. The truth is, self-belief that endures has nothing to do with success and everything to do with identity. It's the quiet conviction that no matter the outcome, you are still valuable. You are still enough. Think about a time when you failed, when things didn't go your way, when people doubted you, or when you doubted yourself. What got you through it? Chances are, it wasn't a trophy or a pat on the back. It was something deeper, that internal voice that said, keep going. Maybe it wasn't loud, maybe it barely whispered, but it was there. And that voice, that's the real source of belief. Believing in yourself means trusting that you have what it takes to learn, to adapt, and to overcome, even if you don't have all the answers right now. It means being willing to bet on yourself when the outcome isn't guaranteed. That kind of belief can't be given to you. It has to be built moment by moment, decision by decision, often when no one else is watching. We build belief through action, through the small, often invisible choices we make to show up, try again, and stay true to our values. It's forged in the hard places, in the uncomfortable spaces where most people give up. And ironically, the more we rely on ourselves instead of seeking external approval, the more we actually earn the respect of others. So if you're waiting for someone to tell you you're good enough, stop waiting. Start choosing to believe in yourself. Not because someone else says you can, but because deep down, you know you must. Everything else, the support, the success, the applause, will follow. But it all starts inside. It always has. We live in a world that constantly ties our value to outcomes. We're told that being worthy means being successful, productive, impressive. From a young age, we're graded, ranked, and measured by test scores, job performance, income, status, and even by how many people follow us online. It's easy to start believing that our worth is directly linked to our results. That if we fail, we are failures. That if we don't measure up, we don't matter. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Your worth is not determined by what you accomplish. It's not dependent on whether you hit the target or miss it, whether you win or lose, whether others approve or reject you. Your worth is inherent. You were born with it. It doesn't rise and fall with your circumstances. It simply is. This isn't about ignoring goals or pretending results don't matter. Of course they do. We all want to succeed, but your value as a person exists completely separate from those outcomes. That's the key difference. When you believe that your value is tied to success, you become afraid of failing, you hesitate, you hold back, you might avoid risks or opportunities because deep down, you're scared that not succeeding means you're not good enough. But when you understand that your worth is not on the line, that you are still whole, still important, still you, you gain a kind of freedom. You can try, stretch, experiment, and even fail without it destroying your sense of self. That's what allows growth. Because failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Every misstep, every rejection, every stumble is a moment of learning, not proof that you're inadequate. The most resilient, powerful people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who know that falling doesn't diminish their value. They have the ability to separate what happened from who they are. You are more than your job title, more than your resume, more than your accomplishments. Those things are part of your journey, but they are not your identity. You're not valuable because you achieve something. You're valuable because a living, breathing, growing person with purpose, perspective, and potential. It's easy to forget this when the world constantly shouts that we need to do more, be more, win more. But the truth is much simpler, much quieter, and much more powerful. You matter even when things fall apart. You matter when you're in between successes. You matter when you're just trying your best. So remind yourself of this often, especially when things don't go your way, especially when you feel behind or invisible. Your worth hasn't changed. It never will. And once you embrace that, you'll find the courage to pursue growth, not for approval, but because you believe you're worth the effort. And you are. Always. When we think about the people who have changed the world, leaders, artists, inventors, thinkers, we often focus on their accomplishments. We admire what they built, what they stood for, how they persevered. But what we don't always see is what came before all of that. We don't see the doubt, the loneliness, or the silence that came before the recognition. What we miss is this. Every great journey, every meaningful contribution began with someone who believed in themselves before anyone else did. That kind of belief isn't loud. It doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to keep going when no one is cheering. It's choosing to act on a vision that no one else sees yet. It's trusting your instincts when everyone around you is saying, that won't work. The world has always been changed by people who were willing to believe in something that hadn't happened yet. People who had no evidence, no guarantee, and sometimes no support. They had belief. And that was enough to begin. Believing in yourself before others do is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It requires courage, not certainty. It means standing on ground that feels shaky, speaking ideas that feel unfinished, and risking failure without the safety net of approval. But it's also the birthplace of everything meaningful, because if you don't believe in you, why should anyone else? If you're waiting for someone to give you permission, you might be waiting forever. What separates people who make a lasting impact isn't that they're the smartest or the most talented, it's that they act on their belief. They take the first step, and then the second, even when it's hard, even when no one notices. Especially then, they understand that belief doesn't come from success. Success comes from belief. There will always be moments where you feel like an imposter, moments when your dream feels too big or your voice too small. That's natural, that's human. But the choice to keep going, to keep showing up for your own potential is where strength is born. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing. Willing to take risks, willing to fail, willing to grow, and willing to trust that who you are is enough to take that next step. The people we admire didn't wait until they were certain. They didn't wait until they had all the answers. They started, they believed when no one else did. That belief is what sparked momentum, what drew others in, what made the impossible possible. So don't wait for proof. Don't wait for applause. Start believing now. Trust that your voice matters, your ideas have power, and your path, even if uncertain, is worth walking. Great things begin with belief. And that belief has to start with you. Believing in yourself isn't about guaranteeing success. It's about committing to growth. It's easy to think that self-belief means knowing you'll win, knowing everything will work out exactly as planned. But real belief is something much deeper and more resilient. It's the decision to back yourself, not because the path is clear, but because you trust that whatever happens, you'll find a way to grow through it. It's less about the outcome and more about who you're becoming in the process. The truth is, no one can predict the future. Even the most carefully planned ideas can fail, markets shift, people change, life throws curveballs. So if you only believe in yourself when you're sure you'll win, you'll spend most of your life waiting, hesitating, sitting on the sidelines. But if you believe in your ability to learn, to adapt, to evolve, then you no longer fear failure. You understand that every experience, especially the difficult ones, carries something valuable for your journey. That shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of asking, what if I fail? You start asking, what will I learn if I do? You stop tying your worth to the outcome and begin tying it to your effort, your character, and your willingness to keep going. That's the foundation of real growth. Not perfection, not flawless execution, but courage and consistency. The irony is that this kind of belief, the belief rooted in growth, not winning, actually increases your chances of success. Why? Because you're more likely to take action. You're more willing to experiment, to innovate, to try things others are too afraid to attempt. You bounce back faster when things go wrong because you don't see setbacks as the end. You see them as part of the process. That resilience is what leads to breakthroughs. And over time, those small steps forward, those lessons learned in the dark add up to something powerful. Some of the greatest achievements in the world came from people who failed over and over before they succeeded. But what separated them was their belief. Not that they'd win the first time, but that they were worth the effort, that their goal was worth the risk, and that they could grow into the kind of person who would eventually succeed. That belief kept them moving forward when everything else said stop. So, when you hit a wall, when things don't go as planned, when you feel like giving up, remember this. Belief isn't about certainty, it's about trust. Trust in your ability to rise, to learn, and to keep showing up. Growth is messy, progress isn't linear, but if you can keep believing in your potential, especially when the outcome is unclear, you give yourself the greatest advantage of all. The ability to keep going when others quit. That's what self-belief really is. Not a prediction of victory, but a commitment to growth no matter the outcome. And that kind of belief will take you farther than fear ever could. In a world obsessed with perfection, it's easy to feel like you're not enough. We're constantly surrounded by curated images, highlight reels, and polished stories that make it seem like everyone else has it all figured out. The pressure to appear flawless can be overwhelming. But here's the truth. It's not perfection that inspires people. It's authenticity. Real connection, real influence, and real self-belief begin the moment you choose to show up as you are, not as who you think the world wants you to be. There's something powerful about being real, about owning your story with all its cracks and chaos. When you drop the act and allow yourself to be seen, truly seen, something shifts. You give yourself permission to breathe, to stop performing, to stop hiding, and in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. That's the paradox. The more we try to be perfect, the more distant we become. But the more honest we are, the more we invite others in. People don't connect with your highlight reel. They connect with your humanity. Believing in yourself doesn't mean believing you're flawless. It means accepting yourself, flaws and all, and knowing you still have value, that you are still worthy of love, opportunity, and growth. This acceptance is the foundation of true self-belief. It's easy to feel confident when everything is going well, when the world is applauding. But real confidence is built when you can look in the mirror, see the mess, and still say, I'm enough. I'm still trying. And that matters. Your imperfections are not weaknesses. They are windows into your strength. Every scar has a story. Every mistake carries a lesson. The courage it takes to own those things, to bring them into the light, is what makes you strong. You don't need to be polished to be powerful. You need to be honest with yourself and with the world. That's where real belief is born, not in the moments when everything is perfect, but in the moments when everything feels broken and you still decide to show up. Too many people wait to believe in themselves until they feel ready, until they feel perfect. But perfection is a moving target. You'll never feel completely ready, and you don't have to. All you have to do is start from where you are with what you have exactly as you are. Your story in all its rawness and reality is enough. In fact, it's exactly what someone else needs to hear. So let go of the pressure to be perfect. Let go of the need to impress. Choose to be real. Choose to be seen. Because when you own your story, you reclaim your power. And when you stand in that truth, you don't just believe in yourself, you become someone others can believe in too. That's the gift of authenticity. That's the strength in imperfection. And that's where real, lasting self-belief begins.